A very good morning and a warm welcome. Right.
Good morning.
Yeah. A quick recap as to what we did yesterday so that we are able to connect the dots of what we did yesterday to what we are going to do today. Uh, I will take the lead and then I would like all of you to participate in the discussion as giving me the recap. So we started with defining competencies. Essentially, competencies are made up of knowledge, skill, motives, traits, self-concept, which are very, very critical. And they actually influence the behavior, which impact the outcome of the individual. Yeah. And thereafter, what did we talk about when we talked about competencies yesterday? We talked about types of competencies. Anybody recalls what kind of competencies we talked about? Yeah. Subir, would you like to just, what are the types of competencies we talked about, Subir? We talked about
Pers-
4 competencies from an organizational perspective.
Personal
Okay.
and professional. we
Yeah.
divided.
Then Justin, you would like to join? Then we talked
Basic,
about what? Pardon?
like the basic competencies, the foundational, and
Right.
and job
Yeah.
specific competencies,
Right.
and then leadership competencies.
Yeah. So we looked at essentially every organization has, organization-wide core competencies. Then since organization has various functions, then we talked about functional or job family competencies. Then since every job family or function will have roles embedded in them, we talked about role specific competencies. And then you have leaders in the organization, so we talked about leadership competencies. Then we also talked about categories of competencies, which are threshold and differentiating competencies, right? Huh? Okay. So what we are going to do today, we talked about competencies and how they impact the performance of the organization, and how they can actually help in organization to leverage the talent and ensure that the employees can do superior performance. In order to do this, now today what essentially we'll be doing is how do we then map competencies? That's the most critical thing. And I'm sure all of you wanting to know how do we do competency mapping, right? For your roles. Okay. So this is what we just did a recap. So when we talk about typically, I'm sure all of you heard about something like a competency framework, right? A terminology. What do you understand by competency framework? Anybody? I've shown you a picture as well. Yeah.
Well, the idea of a framework is that there are competencies that might apply across the organization, right? And are consistent, and they're different in different verticals of job families.
Let me, many times a lot of consultants and a lot of people make it look so complex. Simple. Break it. Whenever you have to eat an elephant, when you look at an elephant, you'll say, hey, my God, how am I going to eat an elephant? But I'll tell you, you can eat an elephant. You break it up, right? That's the way you understand. So likewise, when you look at it's a big jargon, competency framework. What is it? So break it up. Framework, competency. So framework is nothing but a model or a structure, right? It's a structure. Now, what does it mean? That every organization, it's a visual structure where it will help the employees across the organization to understand, hey, what are those behaviors which are very critical and the organization values which are critical for performance, and they are appreciated and rewarded. Okay, so when you have a competency framework, it's a way of communicating to the employees of the organization that, like for example, even in compensation, you have a philosophy, right? You have a pay policy. Likewise, when you're talking about a competency framework, it's a structure where it helps you to communicate. The organization communicates that these are the behaviors I value, and then I am going to reward you, appreciate you. Okay. Now, if you just look at the structure, the model, saying that every organization has a business strategy depending on whatever its products and services are. Okay. Now, the business strategy is translated and is able to give business results through a competency framework. And how? By deploying them into training and development, recruitment selection, performance management, career management, and reward management. So, anytime you hear people talking about a competency framework, do not get overwhelmed. So, it is just a structure, and it is very specific to that organization. Because I told you yesterday that when you talk about competency framework, I'm using another word, competency model. So, it's all contextual. It is all contextual in the sense that because the organization strategy is very contextual, and therefore even the competencies are specific to that organization. And as you know, yesterday we talked about competencies. How will they be observed and measured? Through what? I said competencies can be observed and measured. So how do we do that? I'll ask Suvir.
So obviously, as you said, there has to be a model which will help us to. So there are levels of competencies that you define.
Simple, Subir, simple. So just simplified. When I say why the criticality of, because it's simply translated into behavior. Behavior can be observed. If there is a person, an employee in an organization, a recruiter who is, very aggressive, who is trying to look at alternative sources for sourcing his CVs at a less cost, etc. It's behavior. You can observe the behavior. And when you observe the behavior, you can measure it. Right? Simple as that. And therefore, we say competencies are critical. Okay? I just simplified it so that, we don't look at, when we look at, oh my God, competency, it has to be observed. Simple. Problem solving, competency. So, if as an HR business partner, you have a lot of problems in your business vertical, how are you? What are you doing to solve your problem? Are you being proactive? Are you increasing the number of problems and solving them? Or are you trying to actually reduce the problems by being proactive, etc.? Okay? Yeah. So likewise, just to try to show you the connect, this is another framework where it's almost similar to the last one I showed you yesterday. I'm trying to, make you all feel how it is not that these dots are all there. They're connected. You can see a pattern. So what is it? I said the core competencies are derived from, yesterday, what did I mention? They are derived from organization, vision, mission, values, and strategy, right? Your business strategy, your mission, vision, your core competencies are derived from that. Like we talked about operational excellence of Walmart, because it has a value, it has a vision saying that, hey, we want to give to the customer a quality product at the least price. So the core competencies come from here. Then they cascade down to, now in an organization, I'm sure you know that every function, job families, job functions. So then you are actually then creating competency model. What is a competency model? That means every job function will have a list of competencies and what are those behaviors. Got it? I will show you that list of competencies and behaviors. A competency has to have a behavior. I'll tell you why it has to have a behavior. Then what kind of competencies? Technical competencies, which will have technical behaviors, leadership competencies, which will have leadership behaviors, which will all have behavioral indicators. Like yesterday, I told you, a manager, you may have an open door policy, but a manager must have kept, he is walking around on the shop floor, uh, but you do not know the intent. You cannot just say, hey, he's monitoring, he's supervising just because he's walking. No, you have to know his intent, whether his intent is to actually straighten up his legs and just want to take a walk, or he wants to actually go and supervise and see what his people are doing on the shop floor. Okay, so you have behavioral indicators. That means the kind of behavior an employee uh, uh, expresses. You can actually observe that behavior, measure that behavior, and then assess and say, hey, what does it indicate? And then you can have performance, measurable performance metrics. What are these? Typically, you will see all HR business partners are very familiar with this. Key performance indicators. What are these metrics when we say measurable performance indicators? Key performance indicators. Like, for example, if I were to say employee satisfaction, okay, if I want to increase the employee satisfaction, one of the major job element of an HR business partner is increasing the employee satisfaction so that there is better employee engagement, which will translate into higher performance. Am I right? Am I right? Higher employee engagement, higher performance. And how will you get higher employee engagement if you have higher employee satisfaction? Can you see the connect? Yes or no? Just give me a thumbs up. So therefore, and if you want to measure A, you will say, hey, what is the satisfaction index? But then, is the satisfaction index being a causation translating into performance? Then you can do a correlation exercise, getting data and seeing, hey, I'm having quarter on quarter employee satisfaction index. I'm also having performance data. Is there a correlation between satisfaction and performance? But if you don't see correlation, they'll say, hey, but what is happening? I should know. People are saying we are very highly satisfied, we are spending money, but when it comes to translation of that into performance, I don't see results. So then you will have to probe further. Yeah. Bhavana, you have a question? Bhavana, I can see your hand, so I thought you had a question, Bhavana. Okay. Any questions thus far? We will move on. Okay. Right. Now, having said that, now we need to do competency mapping. So you will go back and then do map competencies for certain roles. First of all, we always say begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey is one of the, begin with the end in mind. Why? Because you will have a better perception, you will have everything. So you want to know, how does a competency map look like, right? So I'm just showing you a pictorial. How does a competency map look like? Okay. If you can see here, in this first row, competencies I've listed. Say for, time management, problem solving, communication. Then what happens when you are actually documenting a competency map? You will do a definition of the competency. What does it mean for you in your organization? Time management. Okay. Not just, a Google definition, but a global definition. But for your organization, what does that mean for that role? Then you are creating what? Levels of proficiency. So when you're saying levels of proficiency, what does it mean? That means I'll just show you here. Let me just show you levels of proficiency so that you don't get. Yeah. So when I'm talking about levels of proficiency, it is nothing like, just recall when you're doing a performance management, you are rating the performance of a person. Maybe it is a 3-point scale. Maybe it's a 5-point scale, 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest. So likewise, when I say levels of performance, you can have L1 to L3, L1 to L5, or you can have something like threshold, which is your least, differentiating. These are nomenclatures, rare. Okay, like 3. So the threshold. You can also have, say, for example, beginner, which is L1, proficient L2, advanced L3, expert L4. You can also have, say, for example, ineffective behavior, adequate behavior, superior, or you can have nascent L1, which is the least, developing, mature, role model. So these are various nomenclatures of your proficiency level. So
Can I ask
let me
can I ask a
just,
question?
yeah, please. Shall I be
I
on
noticed
this?
I noticed on the point scale, I noticed that there's kind of opposite order direction for
Right,
some more complex or less complex. Rare,
right,
which is more
right,
complex, is on the left, and so is beginner. I'm wondering if that
right,
was intentional.
right.
You know what I'm
So
talking
if
about?
I, yeah, so if you can see here, in time management, you are, the ships go to an anchor when they have to go and anchor. So when there is a rating scale, you don't have a behavior at every scale, which is 1, 2, 3. It's pointless. So say, for example, basic, that means lowest scale. You can call it as L1. So if you notice, I have anchored a behavior called can manage own time. He's managing own time. But go to the next one. Can manage own time and others' time as well. A little higher. Advanced can manage own and others' team's time as well. That means the scale and scope is increasing. Are you with me? Yeah. Now, if you see proficient, he's not only managing, but he is becoming effective and efficient, optimizing time. Okay. So, if just to give you a little brief before I do a map, why do you need to put this? Because it helps you to observe. Say, for example, Justin is, I want to observe and evaluate the competency called time management of Justin. Okay. Now, how will I assess or evaluate unless and until I have a criteria saying that this behavior is anchored at L1, this is at L2, anchored at L3. Now, I will say Justin has actually expressed, I observed this behavior, which is a, uh akin to advanced. He can manage own time and others' time. So what will I say? Hey, he is at a L3. That is when I'm assessing. But right now, what will I do? I will also, when we are doing competency mapping, but at what level is he supposed to be? Should he be, because he's a manager, is he supposed to be at a proficient level? Or is he supposed to be at an expert level? Depending on the role, depending on the job he is doing. Now, depending on the job, it is required for Justin to be at expert level. But he is what? Demonstrating proficient level or advanced level. I can actually see there's a gap and say, hey, Justin requires some training in time management because the role he's playing is the manager role where his behavior has to be at an expert level in time management, but he's not demonstrating that. I need to give training. Got it? Got it, Justin? So
Thank you.
that means competencies help you to give you focused training as opposed to arbitrary gut feeling. Hey, I think he needs some training. But where is the criteria? What is the basis? How do you establish? Any questions here? I'm going to park myself. Any questions here? I'm just trying to show you before I can.
Looks like
How it
Anita
looks.
has her hand raised.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
yes. Thank you, Justin. Hi, Nirmala ma'am. A very trivial question. I was reading a bit on bars scale last evening. I think we are flexible in terms of the number of rating scale that bar scale has, right? It could be 5, it could be 4, it could be 3. I think there is no mandate of having a 5 scale rating in the bar scale. Is that correct?
Okay. Can I part? Yeah. Now, it's not something that I will take a magic wand and I'll say, oh, I'll have 3, I'll have 4, I'll have 5. So you need to have some basis or some criteria as to why should I have 3 or why should I have 5. Okay. Now, the criteria for deciding on whether you should have a 3 or a 5 is depending on that role. What does it require? Are you with me? The complexity of the organization in terms of their processes, their products and services. One organization, maybe the processes are very simple. Then you don't need many. You may need just 3 levels.
Sure.
But somewhere maybe
Nirmala
you
ma'am,
need 5 levels. Yeah.
Is it also to do with the maturity of the organization to decide whether we can actually look at, having 5 or 3 or 4, how well they can define each and every, levels? Is it all
So
about
there are
maturity?
2 opinions here. There are 2 opinions here. So as I said, typically it is the complexity of the job in terms of how many levels of proficiency you need to have. It is just like if you have very few levels, that means the intensity becomes very, very close. You are not able to differentiate much, right? But if it's a simple job, just 3 is enough. Having said that, you talked about maturity. The maturity of the organization, that is the life cycle of the organization, has no correlation with the kind of jobs in the organization. Okay? All right? Now, 2, for all purposes, whether it is competencies or levels of proficiency, you cannot have something like 5, 8. No. Typically, you should have anything between 3 to 5 because it is manageable. Okay? Are you?
Yes,
Huh?
ma'am.
Yeah? Huh? It's just like, when we also say, what is it? In compensation, when we do point plan, hey, you cannot have too many, levels because it's very difficult to then manage, So
Yeah.
you can have about 3 to 5. You can't have a laundry list. Yes, Justin, you had something to say, Justin.
I was just agreeing with you. I tell people all the time we cannot have infinite levels. Sorry.
You have to have focus. When you have infinite levels, you lose your focus. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, great. But as we go along, there'll be much more clarity. A lot of things will emerge. You will actually see that. Now coming to when we talk about a competency model, again, when I say model, it is nothing but again a framework where a list of competencies are there for a particular role or maybe for a particular family, your family, and all the required behaviors are there. A competency without behaviors doesn't work because ultimately if you want to observe a competency, you have to also write the behaviors. Simple as that. Okay. Now going forward, how do you do a competency mapping, which is critical and heart of this session today? Mapping, as all of you know, that means I have to map what is the required competencies. Okay. So what is simply competency mapping means? It's a process of identifying and defining the competencies, which are actually knowledge, skills, motives, traits, etc. for a required role, or a position. Very clear? for a required. Now, when you go back, most of you want to do competency mapping, right? So you need to go, and then you can't say, oh, I have just come back from a competency mapping session, so I'm going to do competency mapping. Now, everybody's okay, fine, go ahead. So you need to talk to your top management. You need to talk what are the benefits involved, and you need to get a buy-in, and you need to have a team around, and your commitment of the top management is very, very important when you actually have a new initiative you want to do, right? That's number one, all right? Then you don't go whole hog with all the roles. Take one business vertical or one family where you have lot of challenges. When I say challenges, what does it mean? Now, this is also for Subir, like as a head of HR, I've been in that position for several years, and I know how critical it is. You're always pulled up, for bottom line and top line, etc. So you have to understand, hey, which is that business vertical which is actually not giving me desired results, which is not performing. What is it happening? Can we start looking at competencies, required competencies? Because maybe the people in there, they do not have the right kind of competence. That's why. So when you look at that, it's a 4-step process. You are looking at which roles you want. Identify the roles you want to do. 10, 15, okay, identify. Typically, when I talk about, if you want to start a pilot project, take critical strategic roles. They're very important. If you take the strategic roles and do a competency mapping, map the competencies for those roles, because you can actually see the difference. Because if when the employees demonstrate behaviors, is it leading into a superior performance? So I would recommend take all those strategic positions. Now, sometimes what happens, I feel, it comes to my mind that when I talk about strategic positions, I might just say, hey, they must be limited to the top management. They must be limited to the middle management. It is not so. Strategic positions can cut across all levels. Your chef is a very strategic role in a restaurant. Yes or no? Yes? Huh?
It depends on your job. It depends on your organization.
Right? So in a restaurant, the chef is a very critical, or your in a sales and marketing position, your product manager is a very critical role. In Walmart, your procurement or the supply chain guy is a very critical role, right? So look at all your strategic functions. Now, once you do that, once you identify, then we will be doing the mapping of the competencies, and then we will do the behavioral competencies, and then we will write the bars, are called behavioral anchored rating scales, or the behavioral indicators. So let's see how are we going to do that, and we're really going to do this entire process today. So I'm sure all of you are ready for that, and it's quite simple. Don't get overwhelmed, right? Hey, when I start doing that, first of all, if you have identified your list of roles, look at your organizational chart. Okay? Look at your organizational chart. Where are these positions located? How is the reporting relationship? To whom is this role reporting? Who are the people who are reporting? So you need to look at the entire organizational structure vis-a-vis the roles. Who are the stakeholders? Who are the role set? When I'm talking about a word called role set, anybody knows what's the role set? I said role set. Yes, I'm a HR business partner. Who will be my role set? All those key stakeholders with whom I interact and who have a set of expectations. Okay, my role has to fulfill certain thing. It has to give certain thing. So I have a certain internal and external stakeholders wherein my role exists because there is a purpose of my role, and I also have to give there are certain expectations from my stakeholders. Like, for example, if I'm an HR business partner, my key stakeholders would be the business head himself with whom I have to interact. My key stakeholders will be the in the corporate, the payroll person. So there are various key stakeholders with whom I interact. So you need to also take into consideration this role, who are the key stakeholders for the role. Okay. Having said that, the next step one is chart. Step two, I need to have a job description in place. Why do I need to have a job description in place? Because that job description is going to help me understand what is this role doing, what are its tasks, what is the purpose of this role, what does it have to deliver, correct? Okay. Now, having said that, typically, what is the process we do for job descriptions? Anybody? All of you are to say, yeah, I want participation, guys. Otherwise, I'll also,
When you,
yeah.
what's your question? What's the process about job descriptions?
I'm talking about here. Well, how do you go about getting an updated job description? Say, for example, in
I
your
typically,
organization.
So I typically reach out to a manager. It's usually around two scenarios. We're
Okay.
posting a role, so we have to backfill, where we're looking to hire
Okay.
for it again,
Right.
or employees saying, I want to review my job description, and so
Right.
we have
Okay.
a process of working through what are the tasks and if they've changed.
Yeah. So if I have to write a job description, so typically a traditional method, I'm going to observe this person who's in that particular role. What does he do? How does he go about observation? Or I can use a questionnaire and get all the data and ask him to write, hey, I can say, Priyanka, please, what role are you in? Please write down the list of things you do in this role. Or I can also have an interview method, a questionnaire. But typically, if you were looking at 100 job descriptions, how much time will you take?
A lot of that's a lot.
Huh? How much time? Let's ask Subir how much time he will ask his team
my
to.
view is that we have to look at the criticality or the deliverable that is expected out of the job, then define the
Yeah.
JDs. So if
How
it is-
much time do you think you will take? You will get the team 100 job descriptions.
So at least 10 days to
So-
get the job descriptions in place. Yes.
So
We
uh,
set a
yeah,
format first, but some
you have a
template
lot of, it involves a lot of time.
and
But
data
luckily today I will actually give you a nice interesting method where you can actually do 100 to 500 jobs also in a matter of, say, 500 jobs in a matter of 1 week. Okay, 1 week. So what do we do? How do we go about?
Yes.
You can see my screen. So I told you there is a very nice, interesting, easy method and fast method in today's times. What you could do, go to this, all of you can try it out if you have a Google there. Ownitonline.org. You can see that? Very clear? Okay. Now you
Yeah.
may ask, what is this? This is a website. And in fact, this is a website, and I'm sure even Justin is aware of it, where it's by the Department of Labor of America, where you have, I think, 3,000 job descriptions with all kinds of titles, and it is free. There is another directory which is called the directory of job titles, which costs about $5,000. But this using Onet Online is free. Now, what will you do with this? Just go to this. Okay, I've gone. Now, can you see that there is something called occupational keyword search? Now, what you do, whichever job you want, you can just type in that. Okay. So I'll HRMANAGER. Got it? Enter. What can you see? you can actually see a lot of titles here. You have compensation, you have human resource manager. So look at a title which almost is similar to your title which you want. Now I'm actually looking at human resource manager. Now what can you see? You can actually see it has a job code, right? And it has a summary. Now in this summary, what do you have? You have a list of tasks. Serves as a link between management and employees, advises managers on organization policy matters. So list of tasks, technology skills, work activities, etc., and detailed work activities. Now this is only a summary. You have everything, work context, etc. Now
Yeah.
you can also look at details, right? If you go to the details, summary is short, but see now, if you go to the details, you can see there are more tasks, everything. Can you see? Advises managers, analyzes and modifies compensation benefit policies, performs difficult staffing duties. So the list of tasks, technology skills, all this. Now, what will you do when you have this? So typically what I do is I use this job description from Own It Online and or my teams and say, hey, you can use this Google Forms and say, this is what is a list of tasks this role does, and send it to all the stakeholders, critical stakeholders, and say, just pick if you agree. And if you don't agree, then you can put a cross. Or if you want to add something, don't you think it becomes much more convenient and easy and faster rather than starting with the long method of, okay, write out in detail, he may add or miss out something, or if you want to interview, questioning. So you can make a combination and customize your job descriptions and ensure that they are done in the shortest time. Will you all agree with me that this is a very easy method?
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
guys? Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Thank-
no? Huh?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. So this is what it is. All right. Let me just go to this. So this is, so you can use that. Thereafter, what are you going to do? You will be doing something called job element analysis. What is it called? JEA. Now, how many of you are in charge of talent acquisition or have really extensive experience in talent acquisition?
Hello.
Just give me a thumbs up. How many of you? I know somebody said, yes, I was working in talent. I think Nishant was also working in talent. Yeah. How many of you are familiar? Typically, what does a campus recruiter do? What does a campus recruiter do? Or tell me, I won't talk about campus recruiter. Tell me, what does a recruiter do?
Can't-
What
That's
are
entry
the
level.
various
That's
tasks?
that's
Yeah.
entry level recruiting. You're looking for candidates on a college campus based on whatever your business does.
Uh-huh. So typically, what would his tasks be?
They're heavy screening constantly. I think they'd probably be in the field a lot. They'd have to have
Okay, anybody
knowledge of
else?
They start with the group
Anybody else?
discussion.
Pardon?
They start with the group discussion if we have, n number of people.
Uh-huh. Let me just use a blackboard. 1 second. Okay. I'm talking about recruiters.
So his first job is to, write a JD, for the position, which will help him to define what are the attributes required
Okay.
to fill it out, yeah.
Recruiter's tasks or the job description of a recruiter. Okay. So he himself, one of the things he has to do is write job descriptions. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He may take the help of the business, etc., but write job descriptions. Okay. Then what else?
I think identify the campuses that he or she would want to target.
Uh-huh. So can I put it like, say, okay, sourcing,
Sourcing, right?
Sure.
huh? Because now that he has got a requisition, hiring has to be done. So he is going to look at sourcing from various channels.
Various
It's
sources.
placement, huh? He
Yeah.
could look at social media, right?
Portals.
All right.
Hmm.
Portals, huh?
Hmm.
Okay. Then he will do what? Screening,
Yeah.
huh? So as a part of the screening, he does certain work. Then he will arrange for what?
Interviews.
Interviews.
Interviewing, right? Then after interviewing, then maybe he will also do the negotiation of salary, etc. I'm just compressing that. And then, okay, a lot of this. Will you agree? These are general.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a very easy stuff. So these are the various tasks he does. So when we are talking about competency mapping for a recruiter or for any role, we are now going to do something called job element analysis. Job element analysis. What I need to do for every role, I have to broadly categorize all these activities and put them into broad elements. So what did I do just now when I was talking about recruiters? I said, hey, he does sourcing, right?
Mhm.
He does screening. He does
Interview.
arranging interviews. Now, when I talk about sourcing, can I, where is that? Can I use that? And not. So when he does sourcing, at a threshold level, that means at the minimum level, what is the knowledge and skill required? So what is the knowledge required? Maybe he should know which are those placement agencies, right? Now, what is the skill required? He should be able to operate on a computer. He should be able to pull, using the right words. But what will be a differentiator? What will the differentiator do? He will actually look at social media. He will, in fact, today now there is something else very interesting. You can use technology, red map, something. You can ensure Facebook, LinkedIn combination. When he clicks on that, it will come up. So, various ways. The guy at a threshold level only will look at some very old ways of looking at sourcing. But a person at a differentiator means who will outperform, who will be a superior performer, he will look at many innovative ways of doing things. Very clear? So let me just show you, there is an example here. Are you able to see this clearly or should I make it a little bigger? Huh?
It's good.
Fine.
Clear. It's clear.
Okay. So when I'm doing a job element analysis, you have already got something called Excel sheet. It's very important. Why do we do it? Again, to identify or map the functional competencies. That is, knowledge and skill are functional competencies of a role. So how do I map them? Through, it's also called task element analysis or job element analysis. Now, what I'm showing you is for a training manager. So when I do an element analysis, I need to look at threshold and differentiating. What is threshold? Minimum. The minimum knowledge required, the minimum skill required. What is differentiating? What is the maximum to outperform, to be a superior performer? Say, for example, just take a step back. And of course, it is all written there. All of you are very familiar with a training function and a training manager. Broad job elements, what will they be? Typically, what does a training manager do? He will design and delivery of training, right?
Yeah, correct.
Huh? Okay. So, what is the knowledge required? Knowledge of all that, methods for curriculum and training design. Okay. Then, what is the skill required? Obviously, if you are delivering presentation skills, but a differentiator will look at, hey, it is not just giving content, adult learning. Who is the target audience? I will study the target. See, have you noticed there's a difference? Huh? Delivery methods will be different. Okay. So the skill he has is how do I engage them better? So he will adhere to some global delivery methods. So likewise, if you see budget management, vendor management, these are all what? Job elements. From where did I pick up? From the job description. From the list of activities which are given in the job description, I will categorize and put them into broad elements, because those broad elements will require certain knowledge and certain skill. Very clear, guys? A, you are doing competency mapping here for a position, the same position, so that you are familiar with that job description. So you can opt for either business partner or the operation person. Now, the job description has a list of tasks you have seen yesterday. Now, all that you need to do is you already, Vilma has made your life simple by creating a template also. What you need to do for your job role, identify, categorize the elements. What is the knowledge and skill required at a threshold competency? What is the knowledge and skill required for a differentiating competency? What is the outcome? You are identifying the knowledge and the skill, which are functional competencies for this position. Very clear? So now you are actually going to do this so that you are able to go back and then, have a better sense of doing this entire thing. So I would like all of you to get into your groups, and I will be there to help you all. And it's a very easy role, and you have to break it up into broad elements and then do the mapping of functional competencies, which are called knowledge and skill. Done? Vilma, will you do that?
Yes, I'm opening the rooms.
Thank you.
Opened.
Okay. So the focus is more on responsibilities.
Responsibilities.
Okay. Now look at it. Sets objectives for the HR team and tracks progress. Monitors internal HR systems and databases. Okay. Right. Review and approve. Okay. Modifying budgets. So one is sets objectives for the HR team and tracks progress. So setting objectives for the HR team could be one broad element. Okay. Because there will be certain things which, got it? You can write it there only. Now, then HR systems and databases. So maybe there is formulation, databases, approved budgets. Policies, company policies could be one element. Metrics could be another element. You enable editing. So now you will write the elements which we have discussed. Okay. Element 1, element 2, element 3, not job 1, job 2, elements. Okay. Now put this as you are doing exercise, job element analysis. You can put it for your own reference. Okay.
No. So what will go in the name?
Pardon?
I think I think the core
Yeah.
competencies
So
that you
here,
highlighted,
here
that we have to
we
do.
are doing functional competencies. So typically this format is, say for example, you gone to the organization. So you will write name of that person, Anita Joshi or Mahendra Kumar. Got it?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Position, HR operations. Okay.
Mhm.
And what are you doing? Job element analysis, because you are identifying or mapping functional competencies. Got it? Okay. Now you will write in under the A column, you will write whatever we discussed. One,
Yeah.
right there. What did we do? You have to go back to your JD, all of you, and then look at that. Say, for example, policies, etc. At a threshold means minimum, must have. So, knowledge of what? So, look at those technical competencies, etc. So, for that role, what do you need? Aware of companies, policies, etc. Then, while he's doing that job, what is the skill required for that element, for that particular element?
So here we can have successive behaviors as we can say
Comprehension of data
Uh, uh,
comprehension.
I was gonna say like able to advise stakeholders on best practices,
on best practices. Yeah, correct.
on HR best practices.
Yeah.
An exceptional would be to
So some
Sure.
again show some best case examples which has impacted has a positive impact on the organization.
To understand, to communicate effectively these policies to the employees.
So that
And
is part of communication, na Priyanka? Really that
That
come as
seem-
exceptional behavior.
I mean exceptional behavior I think would be to like think ahead, you know, of
Yeah, I mean
issues
maybe
that
showcase a best case example how it has impacted the organization.
yeah, agree. And can be like aligning all the employees to the organizational policies. He should have that knack of aligning people together to the policies.
Mhm. Okay.
So in a way, he should be effectively communicating policies.
And how it has impacted, Justin, and how it has impacted the organization at large.
Hmm.
I think that makes sense.
First, you had to write the functional competencies, right? Use it from the job description under the category duties and responsibilities. So there are 10, 12 responsibilities. You had to choose the broad responsibilities and identify the knowledge and the skill required.
Yeah, in the first part, right? You're saying
The first part, yeah. So from the job
okay,
responsibilities.
job 1, job 2, job 3 that you're defining, right?
Yes, yes. So
Threshold and differential. Okay, fair enough.
So it looks like when you joined maybe do you still see my screen, both of you?
make it
Yeah,
little
yeah.
larger.
Yeah, increase the size a bit. Yeah.
I'll try. The Excel doesn't want to expand for some reason. There we go.
Yeah, this is okay.
This is better.
Okay,
Thank
I think
you.
let's go to the threshold competency required on the knowledge and skill. Yeah, I think first part.
Okay.
Yeah, let's fill
We
it.
need to
Oh, I see.
identify-
We jumped down there. So here,
So we can look at
the skill is communication. What's the knowledge?
knowledge is fair
But
idea of policies.
But Justin, can you please go to left side little more?
first the job.
We need to identify the what she said is we need to identify the job first, the part of the job, and based on that, then threshold and differentiator competencies will be defined.
The broad ones.
Sorry, guys, I took more time there. Excellent. I think you are innovative. That you kept your JD very nicely, so that you
So
can.
Nirmala,
this
so right
business
now I have
partnering
a
obviously is something.
No, I should tell them also. Okay, guys, please do not. One, core competencies will you delete because you will get confused. Please delete that.
Oh, we were working on that, ma'am. Actually, we've actually
No,
missed
no,
out.
I haven't even taught you all competencies. You have to
Okay.
work on only functional competencies.
Okay.
Don't get into core competencies and all that, please, because only I will establish a linkage and how to go about it. Use that first one, functional
Okay.
competency, knowledge and skill. Step one,
Knowledge and
your job.
No,
skills.
just go the first part. Justin, what she's saying.
I'm
so
here. I
we're
didn't
going
want
to that,
to.
yeah.
She said to delete it.
Yeah.
I don't want to delete it. I want to keep
Yeah.
it.
Can
and
you
learn
just
from it
make
later.
it a little bigger?
So right now
Okay.
I have a split screen of the job description on the right and the competency framework on like the tool on
Can
the
you
left.
make the
You want me to blow it up? I can.
screen a little smaller? Yeah.
Can I just intervene? Okay.
Sure.
Right now, you are doing only the first part, which is called job element analysis. So you are only doing functional competencies. So forget about core competencies. That thing you can just delete it. Okay. The core competency word, you can delete, you'll get confused. Keep only the upper half, which
just
is
the core competency word, Justin.
fresh.
I saved it. I saved it.
Yeah, I don't want you to get confused.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So here, I mean, okay.
Yeah. Can you keep your job description here? Great. Okay.
Okay.
So let me look at your job description. I think this is HR business partner. Conducts
It is.
weekly meetings with respective business unit. So one major element is meetings.
So knowledge is understanding of business.
Right? Yeah. So you have to read through your JD and categorize maybe 2 or 3 things, the person is doing, which will come under one element. Now, let me go through consults with line managers, providing HR guidance and when appropriate. So, meetings, conducting meetings, that will become one element, right?
It's a skill.
Broad element. Employee engagement, typically HR business partner, employee engagement. You will see that there are certain activities here which will, look into employee engagement because
Knowledge on
Pardon?
policies. Knowledge on policies
Then
will be another one.
analyzes trends and metrics in partnership with HR group and develop solutions, programs, and policies. So, policies and procedures will become one more job element. Okay, I would like you all to do just 4 or 5 elements. Don't get into too many elements, right? You don't have the time. Let me go through some more. Manages and resolves complex employee relations, major element. Employee relations. Maintains in-depth knowledge of legal requirements related to day-to-day
Performance
management.
appraisal.
Performance appraisal, absolutely. So we'll have 4 or 5, that's it. Because identifying training needs. Training. Okay. Now write your job elements here. Like job element under job. Can you make that the first part? Name, you can write your name. Position, you can write HR business partner. Right? So if you are writing your name, that means we are doing functional competencies for that person. All right. Now, so elements, job element 1 will be what? Employee relations. Now,
Okay.
so now element 1, what is it? We will take up, HR policies and procedures. Done? Element 1.
HR policies and procedures. That's
No,
the knowledge.
not there. Under A column.
Here.
Where we have written job role element. Under that, just write element 1. Policies and
column A is hidden where the role has to be written, no?
So under
That's what you're saying.
Correct. But Justin has done it very good.
Yeah.
Policies and procedures. Okay. Now,
Okay.
what is the knowledge required at a minimum level for this role, business partner? That means knowledge of company policies and procedures. If you don't know company's policies and procedures, how can you then communicate them to to your business vertical, to your employees? So at a minimum level, knowledge you will write. You can just write K or knowledge and say what? Knowledge of business business policies and procedures of your business, because sometimes every HR vertical will have business vertical will have certain policies and procedures, or
Knowledge of business.
knowledge of
don't
company
you think-
policies and procedures. Okay,
That's what
I'll
I
leave it
had.
to you all.
Okay.
Knowledge of company policies and
Yeah.
procedures.
So
Now,
don't you
what
think the
will
first one
the
would have been
skill
business
be there?
knowledge?
Pardon?
So the first element would have been the business knowledge on the business or the business partner.
No. Your element will be HR policies and procedures.
Okay.
Now,
Subir, I think
so
she is speaking from the context of particular organization, one particular company. For an example, if it is related to your company.
Okay.
yeah, so competency mapping is related to
No,
a particular
saying,
company.
no, I was saying from a business partner point of view, the first is to understand the business well. Will it not come here?
No. So so we are actually saying, if you even to understand HR policies and procedures, maybe the job description is there are list of tasks. So when I'm talking about HR policies and procedures as a job element, you can write here knowledge. Under knowledge, you'll say that knowledge of business.
Okay. Fair
I'll tell you
enough.
why. Now, let me just tell you, if you can, why do I need knowledge of business? Because even if I have policies and procedures, say I will
I will have to align it with
frame,
the business.
1 second, I will frame policies and procedures based on the business, right?
Correct.
So that is basic. If I want to, so your understanding business is not a job element.
Okay.
It is a requirement of knowledge. Got it, Subir?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to have clarity. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, under skill, you will write communication skills, because HR business partner has to communicate. So the communication could be written skills, because you're going to write emails or whatever. It can also
Can
be
be
skip level
face-to-face.
meetings or shop floor level meetings where you are communicating, talking to your workforce, communicating your policies. So both written skills and presentation skills or oral skills, I will say. Okay. That is the knowledge and skill required at a threshold level. Now, let us move to differentiator. Now, put yourself in a person who is a high performer. Now, what he will do, he will not only have a knowledge and understanding of his own business, but also of similar businesses, competition.
Correct.
Because he wants to look at what are the other policies and procedures. He will
Best
benchmark
practices.
policies and procedures. At
Industry
a minimum level, he is only looking internally. But at a superior level, I'm benchmarking because I want to be competitive. I want to ensure that there is there is differentiation. So I will look at. Are you with me now? So in terms of skill, maybe when he's doing all this, you can look at excellent. His skill maybe just going through just skip level, or I may be using what intranet. I may be using a lot of other technological, what communication to ensure that I get both immediate response to my when I implement a policy from the bottom up. I want to know what is the response. Sometimes you have challenges, so it is not just enough to communicate policies. Hey, is there a challenge with, because that's how you then send it back to your feedback to your corporate, who the center of excellence who makes policies and procedures, so that you'll say, hey, this is not working for us. Like, for example, I'll give you, so say, there is a challenge of implementing certain incentive scheme. Then we'll say, hey, this incentive scheme doesn't seem to work for us. This. So you're going to look at it further. Right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
I mean, because business partner is not a person who's going to formulate. He's only going to implement. But he's a conduit who acts between the employees and the center of excellence. Okay? All right. So I helped you with one element. Now, can you look at the other things, guys?
Yeah,
I
sure.
will take a quickly, maybe I will just send you that training one. so that it helps you all to do better. Okay. I'll
I'll
just
pivot
send you
to
that. Pardon?
thank you, Nirmala. Thank you.
Yeah. Justin, are you very clear now? Did you get what we were trying to?
I mean, I was making notes. I feel like we're aligned.
Okay. So now I'm just sending you that format of training so that there is some clarity. Okay. So the clarity you require is job element. Job element is nothing but bundling of certain tasks, which the job does, which form into one broad category, which requires certain knowledge and certain skill at a minimum level and at a maximum level. Threshold, differentiating. Now you want to hire a person at a minimum level, or you want to hire a person at a differentiator. Got it?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, just for understanding.
Yeah.
So I think the question is, what
Yes,
should our
Priyanka.
next?
Yeah. When we define the job elements, you mean to say what minimum is required will come under threshold and what maximum is under differentiator.
No, Priyanka. When we categorize job elements, that's the step one. So you take the JD as such to give a very basic. I'm going back again to that, whether it's a training role or whatever. Saying design and delivery, one broad element. Under that broad element, you are required to do a lot of things, but you will be able to do those things only you have certain amount of knowledge and certain skill. Got it? Now just trying to get that clarity for you for threshold and minimum. Think of yourself at a minimum level. Person will only look at, okay, I have looked at the needs. I will try to create training program, delivery, etc. That is the threshold level. But at a differentiator, that means as a superior performer, I will look at, hey, what are the other organizations doing? What kind of design there are? What kind of deliveries there are? So I'm looking at, so for that, a different knowledge is required and I will also skill. So here it is not that you are trying to document that visualizing that an average performer, what does it require? And a superior performer, what does it require? Now, I hope the group is here. Now, typically what happens, it's little time consuming, but to have a very effective competency mapping, after getting the job description, if you recall my what is it definition, competency is an underlying characteristic of an individual, okay, which has a causal relationship and also criteria reference. So what we do is that we take sample, go average performer who's in that HRBP average performer and HRBP superior performer. And then I will say, hey, typically I will do an interview because I will validate. This is not just good enough. So I'll also validate. If he's an average performer, typically what does he do? How does it? What kind of a knowledge? What kind of skill? So I will take two samples, one average and one superior. Then I will also then look at this. You are creating a document of what competencies for functional and that is knowledge and skill. Okay. So that then you can use it in your organization. Okay. It doesn't mean that, you are just saying, hey, threshold, differentiating. Got it, Priyanka? I think there is slight gap in. Yeah. Are you clear about it? Yeah. You need to, because if it is something new, you got to, practice makes a person perfect. So got to read it over, break it up, put more, then you will get the clarity. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a little time. Anything new, a child learns a new word, keeps on babbling it, and then it becomes perfect. And that's how, there is a little pain when you have to learn new things, but then over a period of time, it will come as automatically, by default. Correct? Okay.
So is it like differentiator competencies are more related to the
superior performance. Superior performance. Got it?
Superior performance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I want you all to do this quick, guys. Huh? Okay. Can I leave? Yeah. So can you, who is presenting? There are two groups, right?
I can present first. I was the one driving for our group.
Sure, absolutely, Justin. Go ahead. Yeah.
We did the HR business partner role, filled in job elements for HR policies and procedures, employee relations, and then training / learning and development
Great.
responsibilities.
Okay. So, yeah. So, HR policies and procedures. At a threshold level, knowledge required. What have you written? Knowledge of company
Knowledge of
policies and-
company policies and procedures.
Good. Skills, communication skills, and presentation skills. At a differentiator level,
We said knowledge of best practices on external policies and procedures and aware of benchmarking practices to make policy improvement recommendations.
excellent. Skill, evaluation skills, and critical thinking. I must applause and I must say very good for this. Okay.
Okay.
Next, employee relations. Yeah.
Employee relations, for the knowledge, we said knowledge of employee benefits, job requirements, internal and performance management processes, and legal requirements. For skills, communication skills are.
Yeah. So 1 second. So great. For employee relations, you need everything with regard to the entire employee life cycle because they are the ones who interface with the employees. So very good. Yeah. And skill.
Communication skills again, skills around the organization, problem solving, understanding of industry norms, detail orientation.
Understanding of local industry norms. Is that a skill or is that a knowledge?
Someone on my team
knowledge,
speak
yeah.
up. I didn't add. Sabir?
Yeah.
Yeah, knowledge. I think it will go in knowledge.
Yeah. So it will go to knowledge. Okay. Detail orientation is a skill. It can also be a behavioral competency. Good. Okay.
And then the skill
Differentiator.
So differentiate knowledge of new ways of making creative more effective, productive employee experience things, effective communicator and sharing expectations for good performance to employees. So
Good,
showing
good.
the way.
Okay.
And then for the differentiator skill, strong interpersonal skills, conflict management, strong analytical skills, listening and negotiation skills.
Okay. Good. I give you for that. Okay. Training and PR. L&D.
L&D, knowledge, subject matter expert on constructing content for employees for learning and development sessions.
So constructing content, is that a skill or is it a knowledge? When constructing content is almost like designing a content. Designing,
It's a
right?
skill, but the only challenge, if you don't have the knowledge, will you be able to construct this?
Yeah. So so convert that into your knowledge partner, Subir.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
Understanding or knowledge of, right?
Sure.
Understanding of
So I'm just
content.
helping you with the skill
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, sure.
Again, when you say evaluate, it's a skill, right?
Yeah, it's a skill.
Evaluate training effectiveness will be a skill which will come under skill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Facilitation,
evaluate
excellent.
is a skill. Gotcha.
Presentation skills, communication skills. Good. Okay, let's go to this. Yeah.
Knowledge. So on the knowledge for a differentiator is a awareness, knowledge of adult principles, knowledge of
Absolutely.
training theories, knowledge of learning management systems.
Excellent.
Skills, apply best practices for training interventions like gamification, simulation, engaging
Excellent.
audience.
Yes, you have come up with gamification, simulation. Excellent. Engaging audience effective. Great. I think I must give you a excellent rating for this. Good job done. Your understanding has been good. So at a threshold level, writing knowledge and skills, and at a differentiating level. Okay. Good job, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, can we go to the other group?
We have started with this setting KRA of HR team. This is the first job role element we have. At the threshold level, the knowledge is understanding of HR team, structure, and HR functions.
Okay. Okay. 100.
And
Then skill?
skill is good in HR management concepts. The
No,
concepts.
no. Good in HR management concepts. So that means you are saying understanding of management concepts, right? Again, that's a knowledge. Acha, you have written it under skill if you look at it, right?
Okay. So this is
Check.
That should be knowledge and not skill.
Good
should be
in
knowledge.
HR management concepts. So
This
that
should be
should go as
knowledge.
a part of your knowledge, no?
Okay.
So understanding of management concepts. Okay?
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So skill will be obviously when you have to have an understanding of all this, but you would also be communicating, right? So communication skills, that's the basic at a threshold level. No? And especially writing skills in communication. Because you might send emails, drafts, etc. Okay. Let us go to the differentiator.
And then for differentiator, for acknowledge, we have organization goals and objectives and role of HR in organization and the best practices in the industry.
So a role of HR in organization becomes a little theoretical as such. Okay. But yeah, best practices in the industry. And because here, if you are saying I have to understand all that, because KRAs of HR, etc. So you also need to understand business. Okay, organizational goals is very important because you can't have clarity on KRAs unless
Right.
and until what are the goals of the organization, because they get
It should be matched
cascaded
with
down.
the.
They
Right.
get cascaded down. No?
I
The
need to
goals
write.
get yeah. So yeah, this you can go ahead now. Next, strong
There is strong
analytical and
analytical
excellent.
skills and excellent communication skills.
Okay, I give it to you. Can we
It's
look at
okay.
the other one?
Hello, is this okay?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then it's budget management. At threshold level, we mentioned for knowledge, basic knowledge of payroll software and budgeting.
Excellent. So
Right,
when
and
you're budgeting, right? Okay, done. I give it
yeah,
to you.
at skill level, we mentioned salary structure and Excel. Good in Excel.
Okay, yes, you need to have Excel skills. Okay.
Right, Excel skills.
Ah.
At differentiator, at knowledge level, overall
Budgeting.
budgeting process and advanced
Okay.
knowledge
Of
of the
what?
same.
Okay.
Advanced
All
knowledge
right.
of the Excel.
Okay.
And then at skill level, advanced Excel. Attention to
Decision
detail.
making skills. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay.
Then at HR system and database. At knowledge
Okay.
level, the basic knowledge of HRIS.
HRIS done.
And at skill, it's able to maintain database and
Good.
reports in
Yeah.
Excel.
Yeah, I give it to you. Good. Good. That was good.
Okay. At differentiator on knowledge, it's emerging HR tech trends.
Very good. Very good.
And at a skill level, data analysis, technical skills, and vendor management.
Okay. Good.
Okay. And policy framing at threshold level, knowledge of statutory compliances.
Yes.
And skills are
How to
drafting
draft
policies.
Okay. Good.
At differentiator, it's aware of updates on compliance and industry trends. And at a skill level, it is, yes.
Why research skills? Collaborative skills to work with key stakeholders. Okay. Good. I think within the short time, I give it to you. Both the groups have done really a good job. So I hope both the groups have got a good understanding now, because when you do your assignment, you will have to do it in much more in detail. Okay. So I hope you have got good understanding of step 1, job description, step 2, job element analysis, then step 3, identifying elements, and then knowledge and skill at a threshold level and at a differentiated level. I will now park myself and say, hey, any questions here for clarity? So then we will move on to how to then map behavioral competencies for the same position. So functional competencies, are we clear?
So we just did functional competencies.
These are functional competencies.
Okay,
But then in
right.
a competency framework, I will now give you that. I will talk about role, then core competencies, where are they coming
Uh-huh.
from? Functional
Uh-huh.
competencies, and then behavioral competencies.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. Okay,
We're
guys.
moving. We are moving fast.
As a part of the competency mapping for a role, particular role, what we did just now was job element analysis. Okay, guys. Okay, wherein we looked at only functional competencies. So when we say functional competencies, they are related to knowledge and skill. Okay. So role, a role has what all? Core competencies. Okay. Then functional competencies. Then behavioral competencies.
Every role.
Okay. So
Every
if I want to
every
pardon?
role. Every role has
Yeah,
those
every
three.
role. So I'm just trying to okay, let me use a draw. Hmm. Okay. Okay. And
Can I ask a question?
okay. So the role, the job description will describe what the role does. Now we have done the functional competencies, which are knowledge and skill. Core competencies, where do they come from? They come from
The organization.
absolutely values, vision. Okay.
Mission.
And business strategy. Functional competencies, where do they come from?
Job
Job.
families.
JEA. Now behavioral competencies. They typically, what do they actually comprise of? Behavioral competencies? Your motives, your traits, the self-concept, which is required for the job. Got it?
Yeah.
You have some clarity now? So you are marrying the job description to get the functional competencies. The core competencies are from the core competency framework at an organization level, valuation, mission, etc. And behavioral competencies, you get what is required from the motive, traits, and self-concept. Okay, let me just go. So when you do the competencies, there are two methods, behavioral competencies. Let me enlarge it. Okay, there are two methods. One is the open assessment technique, what we call, and the other is inventory based. Let me go to the second and then come to the one. Inventory based technique uses certain off-the-shelf products which have certain list of behavioral competencies, inventory, a list of competencies, behavioral competencies, and I choose which is very, very appropriate. Got it? Okay. When I say open, you are using a technique like a critical incident technique. Simple. And this was pioneered by Flagnan. Critical incident technique. That is, what happens when you're doing mapping of behavioral competencies? You then interview the role holder. When I say role holder, the person who is holding that position with So again, a sample of average performers and superior performers. You are asking them one or two critical incidents or maybe more in the recent past, and how did they go about it? Like a story, a critical incident, not everyday incidents which, okay, you have managed, you have put meetings, etc. Critical incidents. And you will go through the entire story like a video and then analyze for all the action words. Why I said action words? Because they will tell you the intensity and the intent of the behavior. Am I got it? Your action words will tell me your intensity, uh, your your assertiveness, your aggressiveness, everything about your behavior. Okay, guys? Now, this is another technique called BEI. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. Behavioral event interviewing. A very common technique during hiring for interviewing, and especially at a senior level. They ask you critical incidents, and so they will ask you to tell you some recent critical incidents where you can actually go through the entire process and then analyze all the action words. What did they do? How did they go about? So then you are able to then find out, hey, what was their intent? What was their action? What was the behavior which has been demonstrated? And then you can conclude on the demonstrated competencies.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am,
So these are
ma'am, could you take an example, like start with an example and explain so that it will be better to understand.
yeah.
Either
This
for CIT,
critical
BI, both.
no. So critical incident technique and the BEI, we are going to do it in the next session as a part of our assessment center. Okay, where we will be conducting various tests for assessment center, and we will be doing a behavioral event interview. So we are going to park it there. Is that all right? Or you want to get a little understanding of the behavioral interview?
Yes, a
Okay,
little bit of
okay, okay, no problem, no problem. Say for example, I will use Anita, because Anita, I've been talking a lot, interacting with Justin, Priyanka. Now let me talk to Anita. Anita. So Anita, say for example, I will take a real role. Anita, in what role are you right now?
Sorry, I was talking on mute. I lead the HR practice of my company, which is called MRCC IT Solutions.
Yeah, but what is it? Are you in an operational role, or are you the head of HR?
So I'm the head of HR. So
Head of HR.
HR ops,
Okay,
HR
no
BP,
problem.
compensation would
So
be
say for example, just to give you a little insight into what is this behavioral event interview about. So I will, if I were to hire you, or if I wanting to analyze some competencies, etc., I'll say, hey Bhavana, uh, um, tell me of a critical incident in the recent past. Critical incident in the recent past, which you had to deal with, and how did you go about? So, Anita, can you tell me? Don't have to get into too elaborate. Any critical challenge was there. So, tell me, what was the challenge? So, you can use the method called STAR method. When we say STAR method, I'm not going to grill you anyway.
No.
The STAR method will talk about, hey, what was that? First of all, situation, then the task, okay? Then how did you go about? What was the action? And what was the result? Who asked me this question, BEI? Was it Priyanka, Bhavana? Who asked me?
I have asked.
Bhavana, yeah.
Bhavna.
So
Yes.
are you with me now? How we
Yes,
go
yes.
about? So
Yes.
we're going to ask for a recent, not everyday activities, but a critical challenge or
some challenging
and then
incident.
yeah. And typically, this is a technique, STAR method. We'll say, hey, tell us about a situation. Then what was the task involved there? Then what action did you? Because we are more interested in action. Okay.
Right.
We want to see how did the person act. How did she behave? What did she do? And then
So
what was the
our-
result?
So I'll
Okay.
perhaps
Anita, I'm saying, one second. Bhavana, so do you want Anita to actually go about, or is that fine?
No, it is fine.
Huh? Because we are going to lose out on some time otherwise. Huh? Okay. But we will do this for our next session in detail. Done? Okay. You are
Yes.
saved, Anita. So we
And
will keep you in
so
mind for
next
the
session next session I'll be ready to address this, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So we also use inventory. Okay. Now, if you look at, I will just stop share this and then let me. So there is something called inventory. 1 second. So you can use either. So there are two types of inventory. Inventory, as I said, there's a list of behavioral competencies of the shelf product, and you can choose them. Now, there are very two popular ones. One is called the threshold trait analysis, TTA, very standardized one. This is mostly used in a manufacturing organization for shop floor level. If you notice, what are some of the things you are looking at? Physical, because on the shop floor, mostly people, physical, mental, if you notice, learned, motivational, okay, social. So this is a list of inventory of behavioral competencies. What will you do? You will look at them and you will see, hey, what is that which is required by this position? Say, for example, on the shop floor, you will say, hey, this job for a fitter or maybe for a welder, strength, strength, stamina, these are agility from the physical aspect. These are all important. Okay. Physical extension, bodily activity, because there's a lot of lifting, etc. And the kind of descriptions, lifting, pulling, pushing physical objects and all this. So you are then talking about the traits of strength, stamina, agility, and even like if people are working in blast furnaces, steel blast furnaces, where vision, because the sensory inputs, these are also very important. So this is TTA, not so relevant for you. But then when we look at mostly for the white collared, let me quickly just show you the Meritt competency. Now you must have also received another inventory called Qualcomm Competency Framework. Okay, please look into your repository of all the handouts which Meritt has sent you. Now, this framework has been developed by the Harvard. A lot of study was done, and it's a very standardized one, right? If you notice in this Qualcomm framework of behavioral competencies, there are 4 broad categories of behavioral competencies. Somebody, just to keep someone awake, anybody who's wanting to volunteer to read only the broad categories, not the details. Broad categories of this Qualcomm. Yeah? Anybody? Can you read up, please? Anyone?
Attitude orientation, people skills,
Correct.
mental aptitude, and team orientation.
Team orientation. So these are the 4 buckets. Now, if you notice under every bucket, attitude orientation, adaptability, aggressiveness, perseverance, work ethic. Under people skills, you have communication skills, energy skills, perceptiveness, pressure bearing. Then again, managerial aptitude, you have again 4. Team orientation, you have 4. Now, if you notice, you have definition for every behavioral competency of all those 4 buckets. For example, adaptability, which belongs to this category of attitude orientation, adaptability. So typically when we look at adaptability, what comes to your mind? What do you mean? Adaptability?
Someone
your
Is it
job
like
adapting to
is
all
accommodating to
conditions.
situations?
okay. So will you consider this definition of adaptability also will vary from role to role depending on the kind of work that role is doing? Say, for example, if I have a campus recruiter who has to travel a lot, the person will be required to be adaptable because A will need to travel anytime. I mean, you can't really do a lot of planning and say traveling. So that itself is adaptability. Then adaptable to, you know, looking at meeting different kinds of people, different institutes, etc. So there's a lot of change. So when there is a change, you need adaptability. Or for a person who is working in a technology role, an HRIS or a payroll, he should be adaptable, not be stuck up with, hey, I'm using this payroll for software for the last 5 years. I'm so sorry, I cannot shift to a new one. Justin, you are the compensation head. Did your payroll guy? Huh? Right?
Say
He has
that.
to
Say
be
that again.
adaptable. Huh? I said adaptability for a payroll guy.
Uh, our
He
payroll
has to
team is
be
very adaptable. They have,
adaptable
but
to
yes,
looking at new softwares, working with
yes,
new
yes.
softwares. And especially in today's times, you are working, irrespective of you're working in whatever role, adaptability to new culture, adaptability to new learning, adaptability to new system, new processes, because everything is changing. You'll agree with me? Okay.
I do.
So again, I
Absolutely.
said you will define, you will give the definition of adaptability, not a generic. You can look at it generic, but you will see what is the role and what is the role requirement, and you will give. Now, for your ready reference, there are all, Vilma must have shared you a very big booklet, in fact. You will see that. Vilma, you want to put that colorful Concom wala? You have sent it to them?
I
Okay.
located
So,
that file. I couldn't
yeah, I'm
find
sure
her.
you have all that. So
Yeah.
now the what you have to do, both you have to get back to your breakout rooms, identify 3 behavioral competencies from 3 buckets or from 2 buckets. What? Because now you have a ready-made list depending on the work, the job description, and what is he supposed to do. Pick out. All right. And what will you do? You will create a behavioral indicators with a proficiency level of only 3. What? Only 3. Let me just stop sharing and go back to my. Only 3 competencies, guys, and also everything is there with you. So how will you do? I'll give you a very good, clearer one. Okay? Okay. So this is a example of a behavioral competency. When I say behavioral competency, obviously you'll have what? Bars, behavioral anchors related to skills. And how many scales are there? Anybody who can tell me? This is just to, wake you all up. How
4.
many skills are
4.
there? 4. Developing, L1, intermediate, M2, advanced. So I can say M3 and mastery. Okay, M4. So that means mastery will have the highest level of behavior. Now, if you look at this
So-
behavioral competency is for, somebody was Justin. Yes, you wanted to ask something?
So in every competency in this framework, there are 4 skills.
Not necessary. You can have 3 also, not skills, levels of
Okay.
proficiency, bars.
Levels of proficiency.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is what you're going to do. You're going to do only 3 levels. L1, M1, M2, whatever. You can use developing, intermediate, advanced. I will show you what you can use. You can use threshold, differentiating, rare. You can use nascent, developing, mature. Okay, just three. Now, after that, what will you write? Now, I asked you to do only select three competencies from those three buckets. So here, if you notice, for a competency like continuous learning, what is the definition? Shows a commitment to learning and developing knowledge, skills, and abilities. When I say continuous learning means he's showing a commitment to developing knowledge, skills, and abilities. So what are the key areas here? So sets learning goals. So creates challenging and realistic learning goals. It is at a lowest level of proficiency. But go to the next. You can actually take a picture of this. Monitors progress towards meeting learning goals and updating approach as required. And at a higher level, sets challenging long-term goals that are outside of the area of expertise. Now, what your work is in the breakout activity, either 2 or 3 competencies, the definition is given, go by the action word, and the intensity should be lesser when you are at a lower level, and the intensity should be higher at a higher level. And the best way to write a behavioral competency is when you are having L1, L2, L3, write the middle one first. Write the middle one first. Then reduce the intensity of the action, increase the intensity of action. Got it? That's the easiest way. This is a consultant's approach. What? Use the middle one, average one, and then increase the intensity of action word and decrease the intensity. Because in competency, it's all about your action word, the behavior. Got it? Now, if you look at Qualcomm, it has got definitions and it has got elaborate explanations as well. So do not get confused and don't get caught up in too much of all the competencies. Please, as a group, just choose 2. Let me see the time. 2 or 3 competencies. That's all. Which are appropriate for your role. Which are because the time is, choose only 2. Appropriate for your role and create a 3-level bar. L1, L2, L3. That's it. 3-level bar. Got it? Now, you have ready reckoner kinds. You have Concom. So choose 2 or 3 competencies. Probably only stick to 2. 1 in 1 category, which are appropriate to your function of HR ops. Got it? Which are appropriate to HR ops. And look at that in the definition. So first of all, just write the definition in you can delete this core competency. Otherwise, you'll all the time get confused. All right. Now, write that behavioral competency there, write the definition there, and look at your action word there. And after looking at that action word, write the indicator here, behavioral indicator here, and then make it less intensive here and more intensive in the exceptional. Got it, guys?
This action word, ma'am, this action word is from this job role.
No. Action word, when I said, it's a verb. In the definition, look at them. No, you come out with, you keep your, whatever that definition is. Are you with me? When I said action word means, in the definition, you will see that. Say, for example, what have you taken?
If we take up communication skills, we are saying the first level would be basic communication.
No. What is the definition there?
So like sets learning goals, identifies learning opportunities, applies learning, something like that, no? These are action words.
No, it is written there, right? I'm talking about it is written
there. It is in
there.
chat. It is in chat. We can download it.
You have a Concom, Anita. You have a Concom there. And for every that behavioral competency, there are definitions there, ample definitions there.
It's in the chat, Qualcomm inventory. Have a look.
Got it. Yeah.
So your life is made so simple. All that you need to do is pick up the definition of that competency you want to look at, Look at the verbs or the action words. Action words are nothing but verbs, okay? And then write the average behavior of that in the second level and reduce it to ineffective behavior in the level 1 and increase it to exceptional behavior there. Anita, are you with me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Huh? Did you get it now? What I mentioned? You have a definition there, ready-made definition. Huh?
Correct.
So you don't even have to think of a definition. You have a ready definition. And when I said, I want to clarify this. When I said action word, words that what? Tell you action. It's a verb. No?
Right. So you
just
where do you
yeah,
want
yeah.
us to add the definition? While it's already there in the sheet, but we'll
No,
just
no, but while it is there in the sheet, I want you to write it here. I
Sure.
sent you a draft there saying that I sent you one right now. I just
This is
who
a
has
one
written
sample.
this?
The sample is there.
The sample is also there.
Yes,
So
the
write
customer
the
service.
definition, pull out the definition and write here. Okay. And then you can say successful behavior will be level 2 will be, that is the average behavior. You first write the average behavior. Then you write ineffective behavior and then you write exceptional behavior. Like for example, customer service is a behavioral competency. Responsiveness to customers' needs. So in the successful behavior, consistently directs customers to helpful resources outside of the direct scope of job. But if you look at that definition, that is much more easier, like adaptability or anything. You can convert that into what? A successful behavior. So behavior will always have some action words, mind you, because it's only with that you can observe. Anita,
we've understood, ma'am. We'll at least start
Huh?
beginning and then
Yeah. Also, Vilma must have shared just now on your WhatsApp one small again a competency.
I've
I
put it
think
on
it was for
the group chat also.
yeah,
So that
influencing skills or something. So can I leave the room, guys?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next one now, quickly. What is the second attribute that we want to take up?
Second is aggressiveness.
नहीं नहीं एक ही लेना है अच्छा
दो बोला था ना एक ही करना है क्या
नहीं अलग अलग कैटेगरी से you have
अलग
already
category.
taken from
So we can-
attitude
We can
see
take from people skills.
no
understood.
hold on the thing to understand is that with your job relation with your job description attitude orientation में कौन सा keyword सबसे closest है so you chose adaptability right
Understood.
Okay.
now you choose from people skills which is the closest does
Communication.
that requires communication or energy level or persuasive learning whichever is the closest choose that
Communication होता है.
हाँ आप people skills का definition ले लो और उसके अंदर अपन communications लेते हैं
Communication.
नीचे जाओ communication can express needs copy this fully copy पूरा copy नहीं हुआ है ठीक है
That's okay.
ठीक है now move to the indicator
Okay. Ineffective behavior.
ठीक है now you definition you have taken now you see the indicator ineffective behavior क्या होगा unable to express or has difficulty in expressing are communicating.
So we can say difficulty, or he or she
Difficulty.
struggles to, yeah.
Not unable, rather it will be difficulty in expressing.
Yeah.
Successful behavior.
Okay.
हाँ वो कॉपी कर लो, मैंने भेजा है व्हाट्सएप में, सॉरी इन द चैट, जस्ट कॉपी इट एंड पुट इट देयर, दैट मेक्स मोर क्लियर. Have you copied from the chat?
Yes.
No, you haven't copied. Anita has sent on the chat.
It's a difficulty. The same one. Struggle to convey ideas clearly.
Ideas clearly. ये उसमें आएगा ना, ineffective में आएगा ना.
Ineffective में ये successful behavior आएगा.
Correct. Now यहाँ delete कर दो. Now.
And then successful behavior. Able to communicate properly.
Easily communicates. Right? Easily communicates.
Easily communicates. And understand.
Understand तो first level में होता है ना, अब ये तो advanced में आ गया ना. I mean, so he can easily communicate any ideas, any suggestions, cut across the stakeholders.
I've put something for successful behavior also. एक बार check कर लो if that is correct.
May face slight challenges in some, mostly communication.
क्योंकि ना अगर मतलब if it is successful every time, then what is exceptional behavior?
Exceptional में it will be beyond department your coverage area. It would be both internal and external stakeholders able to change that idea into a policy, right? So he can influence the stakeholders through his communication. Here you are not influencing, but in exception you are able to influence.
So is this okay? Easily communicates any idea. Mostly communicate effectively in most situations.
May face slight challenges. नहीं, slight challenges नहीं. वो फिर intermediate हो जाएगा between ineffective and successful.
Sure.
Requires hand holding. So he would be a kind of a mid-level manager or a senior executive, right?
Okay, I've put something for exceptional behavior.
Comprehensive से effective collaboration. Perfect. Copy कर लो. Exceptional skill is there on the chat. Copy it.
Yeah, so that is under exceptional behavior.
Yeah.
Last वाला copy paste कर लो.
Chat.
और ये sheet भेज भी दो ना भावना. I requested you on personal chat. But we can make changes when we do our work.
Yeah, later on you can make the changes.
Maybe not now, of course.
There is some keyboard issue already. I'm not able to
copy it again और वो cell पे जाके.
हो गया. Done.
Save कर लो.
Now go to the third skill.
दो ही skill बोला था ना?
दो ही skill. हाँ ठीक है. So it's done. Okay. So we will close now. एक बार आप review कर लो 1 minute. That time I'll close that.
Sure. और भावना ये भेज भी देना please हमको. I don't see Manan. Is he still there?
Just closing now.
ठीक है. I think we are good now. Rest responsive. Open to ideas.
So you understood now what?
Yeah.
Where you have to choose and pick up.
Yes.
Identify the level. What is most closest to that competency.
Now, one of the groups can actually do the presentation quickly.
Bhavna, we could share our screen. Yeah.
Okay. The idea of presenting, it helps even the other group. You learn a lot through group activity. And so when you do the presentation, it helps everybody to be on the same page and there's a lot of learning. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, so we took competencies like attitude orientation
This is for position ops or
or
BP?
HR ops. HR ops.
Ops. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So first is adaptability, proven ability to perform well under changing conditions, high stress and adverse physical conditions, ability to relate to varied personalities and absorb new methods with excellent practical results. So
One
for
second. One second. Before you proceed, you have chosen adaptability. Okay. Now, I would like to know in HR ops, okay, while doing their role in their tasks, you think there will be a need for this adaptability in terms of, changing conditions, stress, etc., etc.
There would be, because we are also talking about constantly reviewing and upgrading your policies,
Yeah.
taking feedbacks from the stakeholders, reviewing
So I
what
want to know whether you were convinced when you put this adaptability as such.
yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Because there are a lot of situations where you need to deal with different kinds of stakeholders because they're all the time trying to, especially when it comes to implementation of whether it's policies, procedures, everything. So
Right.
there's a lot of adaptability. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you read now?
Yes, so first indicator, ineffective behavior. So we have taken less responsive or resistance to change, not open
This
to
is better.
ideas
Less
shared by
responsive
colleagues.
is far better. Huh?
Yeah, we
Okay.
took your
Uh,
feedback, ma'am.
Okay, then we choose this on in successful behavior, open to ideas, changes, or feedback from internal stakeholders.
Good.
Yeah, and next, exceptional behavior.
Hmm.
We have taken proactive and consistent display positive attitude, enthusiastic, and willingness
Okay.
to solve problem, has a very supportive and collaborating approach to teamwork.
Good. Hmm.
Okay. Then we took next skill as people skills and communication. You can
Hmm.
express need and desire effectively to co-workers and superiors in a professional manner.
So what is the action word here?
Communication.
Communication.
No. Expressing.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
Expressing effectively, right? These are verbs. So why I'm focusing on these verbs, when you're writing these indicators for proficiency levels, you can then work on those verbs and reduce for ineffective and increase it for exceptional. Are you with me?
Yes.
That was the idea.
Okay.
I mean, helping you to understand how, typically, how do you write an indicator so that there's not much of a challenge.
Right.
All right? Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Difficulty to struggles to cover ideas clearly. Okay? Yes.
Then
Please.
easily communicates any idea or mostly communicates effectively in most situations.
Very good.
Then exceptional communication and comprehensive skills.
Effective
Effective
collaboration and
collaboration and
influencing
influencing
skills.
skills.
Very good. Very good. I think you guys have done a good job. Yeah, you really deserve a good clapping. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Can we move on to the other group? Good, guys.
Thank you.
But
So
you will
I
learn more as you keep doing. Okay? Yeah, you will have to now pull off from the screen. Yeah.
I will share 1 second.
Who's sharing it? Justin?
Justin is I am.
Okay, good.
I mean, you can see it. So here we outlined attitude and
Can you
zoom in.
enlarge or zoom out? Justin?
Is that better?
Little more. Yeah. Okay. Better.
So
Yeah,
we
now this is
identified under attitude and orientation, adaptability and perseverance as key behaviors for the HR business partner. Yeah.
Excellent.
For adaptability, ability to perform in changing conditions like stress, high adverse physical conditions. Developing, monitors progress on the task, adapts to new methods of execution for faster results. And the mature, seeks challenging long-term goals by setting objectives beyond the current level of expertise.
Good.
And on the nascent, identifies the strength of the team and himself and sets expectation timelines on tasks.
Okay, good. Yeah.
For perseverance, at the developing level, reviews the progress more frequently so that we don't lose sight of the task and stay focused on the outcome.
Very good.
For mature, pushes himself beyond boundaries by motivating beyond to deliver beyond common objective beyond the normal level.
Very good.
And at the nascent level, stays on task to meet the deadlines without stretching beyond on deliverables.
Yeah, good. I think you have done good job. Yeah. So 1,
Okay.
2, yeah, 2. I asked for 2 and then yeah, very good.
This
Okay,
is 2.
excellent job, guys. So the more you keep reading, all those behavioral competencies and their levels of proficiency, you'll really be good at them then. At one go, it is very difficult to get them. Okay. So you have actually learned now how do you map competencies, the functional and the behavioral competencies. Are you all comfortable? Now you can go back and do that. Okay, great. 1 second. So these are some of the best practices when you're doing the entire competency framework and modeling. One is define the anatomy of the competencies. When I said anatomy, don't get overwhelmed again saying, hey, what is this anatomy of competency? So when I say anatomy of the competency, what could it be? Typically in terms of the knowledge and the skill and the motives, traits, etc. You need to really then understand what are they and then do them individually. Like for example, functional, behavioral, etc. Define the proficiency levels, very important. Proficiency, without proficiency levels, you would not be able, you will find it a challenging thing to place where this person is when you're assessing, whether it's at a level 1 or level 2 or level 3. Use organizational's understood language, very important. When you go back and when you want to write competency, all these, competency mapping dictionaries and competency mapping indicators, you have to write in such a way that the language is understood by others. It is not for yourself, it is for the entire organization. So the language has to be understood. How will you do that? If I say, hey, when you're documenting competencies and when you're writing competency mapping, how will you make sure that this language is understood by everybody? What is that you will do? Anybody? Guys, you are now doing proficiency levels.
I think to discuss with the stakeholders, understand that whether they understand the meaning of each
continuously keep them in the loop.
Yeah.
You can't just bring a surprise and say, hey, here is your compensation policy, new incentive policy, and the employees will say, what is this? We don't agree with it. We don't even know what it is. You have not even discussed with it. So you don't get a bite. Keep them in the loop. This is what it is. This is what it is. Shared language. So you have to be constantly sharing them, helping them. It's only then that you are able to then establish that common language. Okay. Identify both fundamental and technical competencies. That is cross job. Because sometimes, like for example, I've done a lot of consulting and an assignment which would, I think, say it would take about just a week, it would take, a couple of weeks more. Because sometimes what happens today, especially in IT organizations, the roles are complex. They have to have multiple skills, multiple competencies. So you need to really understand them. I would actually share a case study of this. It will be very interesting to read that. So achieve granularity in the number of competencies and extent of details. Don't go, oh, just because I have, I can actually do a lot of research. Typically, let me tell you the psychology of most of our HR people. When you learn a new thing, you want to do more content, more laundry list, everything in detail. But please put yourself on the shoes of the other person. When you implement it, how is your employee taking? Keep it simple, easy. Don't think, oh, now I know competency mapping, so I will put in all the competencies required there. Huh? Don't do that. So use diagrams, pictures. It will help you a lot connecting. So that's always good to, when you are communicating, should use that. So the best way to do competency mapping and build competency modeling is keep the organizational context, right? Both the external environment and the internal. Then you have to definitely link your competency model. What is a competency model? You have built a list of competencies with behaviors with the organization's goals and objectives. You can't have both of them in isolation. Can you have them in silo? Ultimately, you are having competency models to achieve business results. But if they are not aligned with them, so what is that? Alignment and consistency is important. Alignment, alignment, alignment. Okay? Start at the top. When you do a competency mapping, I have here helped you with the role. But typically, when you go back, say for example, now Anita wants to go and do it. Okay, if she's starting to do competency mapping for the finance function, you should start from the top, the CFO. Because typically what happens, the functional competencies will cascade down. Okay, so always start from the top. Use rigorous job analysis methods and develop competencies. If your job description is not really updated, etc., then you are not going to have good, you can't have good
course.
competency.
Yeah.
Very important thing. Don't develop competency framework for the current job. Keep the future role in mind. This role today is doing this, but in future, what is it going to do? Keep that also in mind. Are you with me? Not just the current role, but keep the future role in mind. Keep the future requirement. This role is going to develop in this way. Then you can add competencies required for the future role. Okay. So that was a quick one, guys. And yeah. So thank you so much for, if you have any questions or clarifications, I'm there to take it up. I know for Justin, it's quite late. Huh? Yet, any of you, if you have any clarification on BEI, I'm saying behavioral indicators, levels of proficiency, how to go about, because it might have sounded simple and nice here, but when you go back, when you